It's that time of year again. The time of year when Christians will be told with certainty that the date of December 25th was chosen by the Catholic Church to co-opt the success of pagan festivals, often Sol Invictus, a supposedly highly influential pagan sun cult instituted by the Emperor Aurelian in 274. This viewpoint was celebrated by 1800s scholars, such as Hermann Usner, as evidence of syncretism in early Christianity, and his view became the dominant narrative lens to describe Christmas dating during the 1900s in what is today called the history of religions theory. While the Catholic Church is not opposed to the principle of taking gold from Egypt, which is to say, repurposing something pagan to serve Jesus Christ, we also should not reflexively assume that just because someone says something started out as pagan, that it's automatically true. In the case of Sol Invictus, which is the central thesis of the history of religions theory, 21st century scholarship has started to erode important parts of the pagan sun god formula. The main piece of evidence for the Sol Invictus theory is the chronograph of 336, which also happens to be the first uncontested date for Jesus' Nativity being celebrated on December 25th. The problem with connecting these two dates is that it relies on 1800s confirmation bias, which is undermined by the sun cult pre-existing the Emperor Aurelian. Sun cult celebrations were traditionally celebrated on August 8th, 9th, or 28th, on October 19th or 22nd, and on December 11th, rather than on December 25th. So there's not sufficient reason for the church to have selected a new novel date for Christmas. And if we actually read the chronograph, it doesn't even say Sol Invictus, but rather Natalis Invicti Circensis Missus, 30, or Birthday of Invictus, 30 chariot races, which, as Oxford professor Philip Nothaft has noted, means we don't even have enough context to say whether the Invictus referenced here is a celebration of the sun god at all. And as Nothaft also notes, chariot races on major festivals is a later development of the 320s, which would not have been done in the 200s. But let's assume with the history of religion scholars that this is a reference to a feast honoring Sol Invictus. Because there is no prior evidence of Invictus celebrations on December 25th, before the chronograph, we could just as easily say that the pagans were trying to supplant the celebration of Christ's birth using the sun god, rather than the other way around. Particularly because, although the chronograph is the only uncontested date listing the nativity of Jesus on December 25th, there are other sources that also point us in this direction, such as those attributed to Hippolytus and Julius Africanus, which support a dating of December 25th as early as the 200s. If you want to go more in depth on the debates about the dating of Jesus' nativity, and find out how Middle Ages Calvinists invented the early version of the history of religions hypothesis, watch my previous video on this topic here.